Around the great state of West Virginia, Hoppy Kercheval with you. Kay Murray, our producer Anthony Sparks, handling the video stream. A ton of things to do today. Coming up, we're going to talk about the potholes in the roads and what's being done to draw, well, you don't need to draw more attention to it, but what's being done to fix it. Also coming up, do you know that 12 million Americans are misdiagnosed every year when they go to the doctor? We'll talk about that. Also coming up, the controversial and bigoted comments by the owner of the LA Clippers. That seems to be dominating the news cycle this morning. We'll talk about that. Gang-related violence in the state's capital city. Is it getting worse? That and more this morning on Talkline. First up this morning, though, let's spend a few minutes on the 3rd District congressional race in West Virginia, where we have 2 Democrats, 1 Republican. Of course, that's the seat held by longtime incumbent Nick Rahal. And he's being challenged in the primary by Richard Ojeda. Rahal, the obvious favorite there. On the Republican side is State Senator Evan Jenkins. And what I thought I wanted to do from this point on, not every time, but many times, is focus in on a particular issue when I talk with the candidates. And interestingly enough, just last week, Evan Jenkins said that despite the fact that he's a Republican, he would vote for extended jobless benefits if that comes up for a vote. It may well come up for a vote in the House, but if he were in the House. And he joins us on Metro News Talkline. Senator, good morning. How are you?
I'm great, Hoppy. Good morning.
Good to talk to you. Okay, the U.S. Senate a couple of months ago did pass an extension of jobless benefits. The Senate voted 59 to 38 in favor of a bill that would restore federal funding for extended unemployment benefits for almost 3 million Americans. Now, that's a view that is not shared by many Republicans. In fact, John Boehner probably is not going to take that up in the House. But you as Republicans say that if you would support that?
I would support it. And in fact, it received some Republican support in the Senate. And I would be a member of the Republican caucus who would stand up and say we need to extend these benefits, because that's what this benefit is. It is for people who have been put out of work for no fault of their own. And we have seen that, unfortunately, chapter and verse here in West Virginia. And as a matter of fact, not only last week, the announcement of more layoff notices from Patriot, we had more devastating news from Patriot this morning. As a matter of fact, with over 850 looked to be idled as a result of multiple factors, but including the attack on our coal industry.
Hold on, let me interrupt you there, because that's something. Last week we reported that Patriot had filed notice that that was going to lay off at those 2 operations in Boone County a potential of 850 affected. You're saying you have new word this morning? It's going to be everybody?
Well, this morning I just heard through the news outlets that 2 facilities, the 450 employees at the Wells Mine and the Corridor G 397. So that may be the total that you were talking about as last week, but more information, it seems to be continuing to come out about those layoffs.
All right, we may need to double check that, but I interrupted your answer, but you are in favor of extended unemployment benefits. And again, the 3rd District where you're running has been hit hard. But let me ask you this, Evan. And I looked on your website today, and you say one of your principles is a fiscal conservative. And your website says, Evan knows we must end the tax and spend ways of Washington. Our nation's $17 trillion deficit is mortgaging the future of our children and grandchildren must stop. He believes we must live within our means, and tax relief, not tax increases, is what we need. How does spending more money, how does extending jobless benefits fit with your presentation of yourself as a fiscal conservative?
Yeah, unfortunately, people try to characterize this as a false choice, that you either support the extension of benefits or you don't, just based on the fiscal policy. I'm for doing what is right. We can find within our federal government the money. It's about $20 billion is the expected fiscal note for the extension of this benefit. That's a big number, but it's certainly something manageable. We do need to live within our means. We should not continue to drive up the debt like we have seen over the years. This $17.5 trillion is mortgaging the future of the next generation and beyond. But we also must do what's right. I believe the money is there, and it can be found. There is just so much waste. In fact, there's expected or estimated to be $80 billion of waste just in the Medicare program. We, through good fiscal responsibility, fiscal management, and I've done that at the state level, we've passed balanced budgets, we've controlled costs, but we've also made investments where it was important for the people. And right now it is important that we extend the uninsurance benefit for these people for no fault of their own who are being displaced, who are struggling. We can fund that money without having to drive up the debt.
The 3rd District Republican congressional candidate Evan Jenkins is with us. Evan, Congressman Ray Hall, and I would presume, I don't recall anything specific, but I would imagine Congressman Ray Hall is also in favor of extending the unemployment benefit for folks in the 3rd District. So if that's the case, what's the difference? What's the difference between you two if Ray Hall would vote the same way?
Well, on this particular issue of supporting those people displaced for no fault of their own and making sure that not only our coal miners and others who are put out of work get the benefits they deserve, there may not be a difference on this particular issue. But there is a world of difference on so many other issues. And as a matter of fact, probably the biggest difference is that the reason that these hardworking coal miners are being displaced is the failed policies of Barack Obama, Nancy Pelosi, and Nick Rahall. Nick Rahall voted for a carbon tax in the budget last year. That would be devastating. It would put more coal miners out of work. So while we may both be willing to support the extension of unemployment insurance benefits, there is a stark difference. I would have worked tooth and nail to make sure we did not get into this situation. I would not have been a supporter of the Obama-Pelosi agenda that has been so devastating.
But Ray Hall, we digress a little bit, but let's go there for a minute. In that, let's hang on a second. I want to go back to the jobless benefit because I said we were going to focus in on that today, and there'll be plenty of time before November to talk about a lot of these other issues. And again, you run as a conservative. There is a conservative philosophy that is grounded in research. And you can look at the Heritage Foundation, you can look at the Wall Street Journal, Evan, that says extending unemployment benefits actually extends unemployment, because it keeps people on unemployment longer. It discourages them from taking a job that they might be somewhat reluctant about, thinking there might be a better job out there. It would end their benefits. Do you disagree with the research that's out there that says extending unemployment benefits, in fact, extends unemployment, keeps people on unemployment longer?
We have a state program that provides unemployment benefits for 26 weeks. The Emergency Unemployment Compensation Act adds, through a tier structure, extra weeks on top of that. I believe that for these coal miners and others who have been penalized by this anemic economy and the war on coal should be allowed extended benefits until we can get this economy going and get the coal industry out from under the attack that's being waged against it. There are not coal miners in southern West Virginia who are sitting idly by, living off of unemployment comp because they want to. They want to get back to work, and we need to change the policies. So we don't have malingerers who are milking the system under some theory. These are hardworking coal miners that simply want to get back to work. We need to allow government to free up the industry, get its foot off the throat of the coal miners and families and communities, and get people working again. That's what they want to do. They want to make so it can happen.
Third District Congressional candidate Evan Jenkins is with us, talking specifically about unemployment benefits. But while we have a minute, I do want to go back to this point, though, is that Ray Hall. You've supported Ray Hall in the past. I've interviewed Ray Hall a million times. And I don't think, I know he's not an anti-coal guy. I mean, he would not be elected and reelected in the third district if he was anti-coal. So go ahead.
You just have to, there's accountability. And, you're right, he's been on your show. He talks a good game, but his record, and this is the challenge, is to get people to look at actually the policies that he's voting for, because they don't match up with the rhetoric. He was a staunch supporter of Obama, claimed Obama would be good for coal. It did not turn out that way. He was a sympathizer with the EPA's holding up of permits and said you just have to work with the EPA. They're just doing their job. That didn't turn out to be accurate. He voted for the RAINS Act, which would have put the restrictions on EPA regulations and rules. He voted for the progressive budget with a carbon tax. So, unfortunately, things have had to get so bad for people to realize that Washington is broken, the war on coal is real, and the people who have been supporting those who have engaged in this war, that includes Nick Rahall, are the folks that need to be held accountable. So rhetoric aside, it is the actual votes and policies and people that he has provided aid and comfort to that unfortunately are coming home to roost and devastating our economy in West Virginia.
Evan Jenkins, candidate, Republican, 3rd District, West Virginia. Evan, thanks for coming on. Be safe on the campaign trail. We'll certainly have you back. Good to talk to you.
Thanks so much, Hoppy.
All right, Evan Jenkins, and a Republican and a conservative, but coming out in support of extended unemployment benefits at the federal level. Right now in West Virginia, normally states provide up to 26 weeks. There is, as he said, a tiered system. That passed the Senate. Not sure the Republican-controlled House is going to take that up. But I think two things. I think that philosophically, extended unemployment benefits at the federal level is, to me, inconsistent with tough fiscal conservatism. However, as a politician running in the 3rd District, whether you're Ray Hall or Richard Ojeda or Evan Jenkins or whoever, it's pretty tough to not be for something that would aid coal miners who are about to get the pink slip. I